right now on Fox News Sunday.
And hello again from Fox News in Washington. As you may have heard by now, President Obama decided to do 5 Sunday shows today, but the White House made it clear they had no interest in talking to us. We'll have more on that later. But first, the nation's biggest community organizing group, known as ACORN, was caught in a hidden camera sting, then saw both houses of Congress vote to cut federal funding. We're joined today by ACORN's CEO, Bertha, and by one of its toughest critics, Congressman Darrell, Issa. And we welcome both of you to Fox News Sunday.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Ms. Lewis, when those videos of ACORN workers who were helping what they thought were a pimp and a prostitute first came out, you said the following, and let's put it up. We are their Willie Horton for 2009. We are the boogeyman for the right wing and its echo chamber. Now, the vast majority of Democrats in the House and the Senate have voted to cut funding for ACORN. Can you still say this is just about race and politics?
Well, we are the largest community organization of low and moderate income folks, and mostly people of color. And of course, any organization is not entirely perfect. I think Congress, will be looking at doing an anti-ACORN amendment and just singling out one organization. But we continue to make sure that all of our employees, if they're too stupid to understand that they are not reaching professional standards, we terminate them, and we actually make sure that, what we do internally is serving our constituents, 500,000 poor black and brown, Asian and white people in this country. So I was outraged by it. Everyone should be, and I can understand how the Congress was also.
Well, Congressman Issa, it's not just the videos. In July, the Republican staff, your staff, on the government oversight and, or rather the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reforms, issued an 88-page report in which you charged the following. ACORN has committed investment fraud, deprived the public of its right to honest services, and engaged in a racketeering enterprise affecting interstate commerce. Briefly, explain why you think ACORN is a criminal organization.
Well, one thing they did was they covered up an embezzlement, both internally and externally, and then glossed over the dollars. And
this was an embezzlement by the brother of the founder back in 1999 and 2000 of almost $1 million.
Of almost $1 million. Basically, the founder stayed on the board until this became public 8 years later. Now he's with affiliates doing the same work and able to say, well, he's not with the company. The bottom line is there's no transparency in ACORN. Any charity that you would look at, and we've looked at them in our committee, it's a regular part of what we do, you normally find out who's paid what, where the money goes, what the collection costs are, and so on. Here we have literally hundreds of organizations tied under the ACORN umbrella, and you can't even find out what their incorporation is, whether they pay taxes, who makes what, or more importantly, whether corporations within the affiliates work in different areas. Political fundraising, getting candidates elected, voter registration, other community activities, whether or not those monies are fungibly moved illegally.
That brings up, Ms. Lewis, the question I got most from our viewers in email after we announced that you were going to be on the program, which was, how can a nonprofit engage in political activity? It turns out that ACORN, the parent group, is not a 501c4, which would be tax exempt, but rather a taxable nonprofit. The Congressional Research Service says that you are the only taxable nonprofit that they could find in this entire country. Is that so that your various subsidiaries can get federal funds and act as nonprofits while your parent group can engage in political activity?
We've made sure since I've become the CEO that affiliates have firewalls between them. I know that back last year, we were outraged that the board didn't know about the previous chief organizer's activities. I've completely overhauled all of our finances, all of our controls, and he was fired immediately, just as in this instance with these tapes. We terminated folks immediately. Under my watch and my leadership, I will make sure that we keep saving people's homes, making sure that people get paid good wages, and making sure that our corporate structure is above board, it is open. The R in ACORN stands for reform. And not only do we think we want to reform public policy, but internally, let's have some reform.
But Ms. Lewis, if you're so concerned about serving the community, obviously being a taxable nonprofit means that you have to pay taxes. If you're so concerned about serving the community, why not be a tax-exempt nonprofit, stay out of politics, and then you could give that money, instead of to the federal government, you could give it to your community?
I think what you would also agree with is the right of the people to come together, not only to petition their government, they have the right to do that. Poor people have the right to do that. But you also need to be able to do lawful C3 activities, such as servicing the community, which we do. I think an organization can do both. Hundreds of organizations do the same thing that we do. We make sure that we service our 500,000 members.
Congressman Issa?
But, you know, in fairness, Bertha, I don't know of another organization structured the way you are, where they're both a political wing, if you will, of the Democratic Party, and has close relations with the unions, and takes federal dollars, and takes charity money, and does not disclose in a way in which anybody, your donors, the government, when they provide money, can actually get transparency. If you're going to change this, will you come before Chairman Towns, a man who, by the way, voted not to cut off your funding, and give the kind of disclosure to where the Government Oversight and Reform Committee can know that you are doing work with firewalls, as you say, so the American people know that their dollars don't end up doing political activities prohibited by law?
Here's the question that we really should be asking.
Well, no, answer his question, if you will.
Here's the question that we really should be answering. Do you have an organization, such as ours, that absolutely pays its taxes, that absolutely provides its services, that has firewalls up? We think it's up to the Congress to determine how they would handle some sort of anti-ACORN program or amendment. There are poor people in this country every day that we're saving their homes, making sure that they have decent wages.
But why not go? I mean, could you answer the congressman?
It's not up to us. My job is to serve our 500,000 members.
Ms. Lewis, could you answer the question directly?
And that's
why,
the thing.
Why not
and that's
go?
What we're going
why
to
not
do.
Go before the committee? He's talking about. Please let me ask the question.
Okay.
Congressman Towns, who's a Democrat. It is a Democratic-controlled committee, but there obviously are Republicans, like the ranking Republican, Congressman Issa, are saying, come before us and explain, because it seems like you're merging charity, nonprofit, profit, political, non-political, and that it all gets jumbled up and you don't know which dollar is going where.
Well, that's Congressman Issa's opinion. Again, anyone that asks us to come, we will do whatever we need to do to make sure that folks understand the work that we actually do and that we've been doing for 40 years.
Bertha,
We've been doing it well.
Chris is asking a question. You're giving an answer that your own consul, Kingsley, said is not true. You don't have firewalls. That's an internal memo. That's your consul saying you have these problems. And if you had those problems then, and for 40 years have had these problems, and the American people have put $53 million into your organization and countless other dollars of other state, local, and charity money, the question is, will you allow, at least looking back, a review of these things so that people can have a confidence that you have those in? There's no God-given right for any organization to receive a grant from the American people. The fact is, there are organizations standing in line that wish they won instead of you, and they're giving us the transparency so we can have the confidence the money is spent only for the purpose of the grant.
Congressman Issa is right. You have competitive grants, and you need to compete with a lot of other folks. You need to deliver those services. He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right that his staff, who repeatedly talked to the lawyers at Harman Kern, that said we did an internal lawyer-client privilege confidential document that gave advice. Since I took over, I have overhauled the entire system.
Well, wait,
and we took our advice, and that's what we're doing.
You say that you overhauled. You say you overhauled the whole system.
Yes.
There are the videos which have happened on your watch.
Yes.
I just want to put up. Here are ACORN workers advising young men and women posing as a pimp and a prostitute how to buy a house and avoid paying taxes. Here it is.
Your business is a performing artist. But you are. Okay? So you're not lying.
It's kind of
We'll play
boosting
on
my
words.
ego.
But you're a performing artist.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
So stop saying prostitution.